President Trump has expressed a desire to eliminate the U.S. Department of Education in the past, and now it is in full effect. Basically, his reasoning in taking it away is because of the funding that is sent to education, despite the entire U.S. being ranked last when it comes to the education system. Trump believes that the decisions regarding education should be made at a local and state level, not by the federal government. His argument is rooted in the idea that local communities, parents, and school boards are better equipped to make the decisions regarding their students. Take a look at this video regarding Trump's reasoning to take it away.
I nominate Linda McMahon to be the Education Department Secretary if you're going to get rid of the Education Department.
Because I told Linda, I hope you do a great job and put yourself out of a job. I want her to put herself out of a job. Education Department. So we're ranked number 40 out of 40 schools, right? We're ranked number 1 in cost per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. And we're ranked at the bottom of the list. We're ranked very badly. And what I want to do is let the states run schools. I believe strongly in school choice. But in addition to that, I want the states to run schools.
So with that video, I truly don't see why it's completely run by the federal government. I feel like if it's run by the federal government, they can also include the local and state. They can be a team in deciding what is best for the students of that population in those specific communities. Even recently, members of Congress were blocked from entering the Department of Education building. Let's take a look.
Prepared to stand here all night if we decide to stay?
I guess, yeah.
All right, well, you just stay right there. You just stay and stay.
Why aren't you letting us go to that desk like we were able to do last year?
He's not a U.S. employee.
This is a public institution.
Did Elon Musk hire you?
You work for it. Who do you work for? Are you not aware of? Are you even allowed to?
Federal employee working for the education.
We want in. Tell them what it says on the door. All access entry.
Now they've called the police on us.
Advocate on behalf of your children with disabilities, for young women who have been.
A couple things that stood out to me were this random man blocking the door and a lot of the Congress members telling him, like, are you going to stand here if we stay here? Like, are you truly not going to let us through? And then you can hear them in the background asking questions like, who hired you? Did Elon Musk hire you? Do you work for him? And they were talking about how they're worried about the children. The Congress members were saying, let us in, and they weren't budging. So the real question is, who was that guard first? Who was blocking the door? Who is saying, do not let Congress inside? Who's making that decision, and why are they doing it? What is the exact main reason? Is it all just because of funding? I was thinking maybe this just was a part of the process for them to start shutting it down. I also want you guys to see this woman on TikTok. She is a mother of school-aged children, and she's pretty much explaining the pros and cons of what Trump is trying to do and what it could lead to.
He's getting rid of the Department of Education. I have school-aged kids. So what does he mean by that? It took me a hot minute to find straightforward information about what he was talking about that wasn't emotionally charged. And what I found out by this is, yes, he is getting rid of the Department of Education, but on the federal level, he is bringing it to more power to the states. Generally, this is what the Department of Education does. So if we got rid of that, each state would decide its own funding, policies, rules for schools. People like this idea because they think that their local leaders understand their communities better than the federal government, which might make the schools more responsive to the local needs. On the other hand, losing funding might hurt poorer schools. And with states having different standards, it could create gaps in education quality. Also, those students that rely on federal protections, like those with disabilities, might lose their funding based on if their state changes their policy. So, pros, moving the power to the states might give the local areas more control. Cons, it could create major differences in the quality of education and protections. Hopefully now you understand, and it's a less scary concept. Or more scary, depending on the way you look at it. I don't know.
Pretty much what this mother is saying is that Trump doesn't want to take it away how it seems. He just wants to take it away on the federal level. He wants to make it more local and state. And also, she just broke down that when you do that, some of the pros is that, the local areas know what the kids need more than the federal government would. But then also the cons is that it can put some people at a disadvantage based on the quality of care, and people who need funding, like children with disabilities or low income areas who don't have enough funding. At least on the federal level, it makes it equal for everyone. But now, the different states, and if some states are doing worse off than the other, that will also affect the schooling. I feel like the government should still give all schools a baseline to cover certain things that are more important, if they are in areas that have a lower income, as well as children with disabilities or special needs. Lastly, I went to Twitter to see what the community thinks, and I found 2 tweets that really stuck out to me. The first one reads, "The Department of Education has failed us by regulations. Trump is taking the money away from schools, only giving the money to states for them to use it in education. Why do we need so many do-nothing people that get salaries?" And on the flip side, the next tweet reads, "That is exactly why Trump wants to do away with the Department of Education, so he can manipulate and control what is taught in our schools, so he can gain total and complete control. They are already taking over media sources to control their narrative." Autocracy begins. So, there is clearly a lot of tension rising from both sides on what to do for this situation. Will the Department of Education be abolished, or will it still be here? Will it be the same in the federal government, or will it go to the locals and the states? Only time will tell.